The Negro Motorist Green Book, first published in 1936, was a critical guide for African Americans traveling during the 40s, 50s, and early 60s. It was created by a Harlem postal worker, Victor Green, and his colleagues who gathered a listing of restaurants, bars, hotels, and private homes that welcome black travelers across the country.
My aunt gave me a copy of one of those.
In a time where Americans started hitting the road, African Americans faced restrictions as they traveled. Although you could purchase a car, you couldn't get gas, stay in hotels, or eat in restaurants. Travel was difficult and dangerous. Ben's Chili Bowl at 1213 U Street, Washington, D.C. was originally a silent movie theater called the Minnehaha. It was later featured in the Green Book as a pool hall. Since 1958, Ben's Chili Bowl has continued the legacy.
They were trying to get
of
me
the
to
Green
repaint
Book,
that Panda Bear out front.
Oh, yeah?
providing a refuge for the whole community.
That's nice.
You can turn all the way around.
Oh, damn. I'm sitting in the middle of the street.
In Washington, D.C. in 1939
Wow.
in a segregated hospital.
That's funky.
I lived in a segregated
the cop's sitting over
neighborhood,
there.
and I went to a segregated school.
Wow.
First, I didn't realize any difference
This is
because
incredible.
all the people around me looked like
Now, you
me,
shot this?
and I was comfortable with
This is
that
just an example
until
of
I
one.
realized that I was being discriminated
Just
against.
imagine your artwork.
Oh, yeah.
With the goggles on.
We couldn't
walking
shop
around looking-
downtown at the major stores. You couldn't try on clothes. You couldn't try on hats.
This is Ben's. I've been here. This
if
is
you
where I
tried
normally
on,
sit.
They didn't want you to get grease on the hats. You know, we
That's
oil
cool.
out there. And our makeup is dark. And so they didn't want us to try on clothes because you might get makeup on the clothes. I remember being about 7, maybe 10 years old.
Man, that
in the
is
department
incredible.
store when a little girl
I'm
called
tripping.
me a nigger and spat on me. And I couldn't retaliate. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't do anything. I was so angry inside, but I couldn't do anything about it because I knew that it would be blamed on me.
Man, that's nice the way that faded out. Who did this?
Felix and Poncho.
Why am I sitting
Green
at a
Book
table
was
with
a
a bunch of young
guide for
girls?
African Americans to
That ain't
travel
cool.
safely, to find shelter,
Wow.
food, and gas in a time where these basic rights were not guaranteed. Washington, D.C. had more listings
Even a
in
reflection.
the Green Book than any other city in this country. The 1213 U Street was listed in the Green Book, and that's why we're sitting here in Ben's Chili Bowl at 1213 U Street today. From the very day that we opened up to the current time, it's still a safe haven for people. And we invited the community in.
101,
We
wow.
started with the neighborhood young men that thought this was home for them. They always sat over there in that corner. There was always 8, 6, 8, 10 of them every evening from different walks of life in the community.
Oh, that's cool the way you got the old reflection on this side
When
and the
someone
new
spilled something on the floor and
representation here.
the staff was busy, one of them took
Daytime
care
on
of
this
it,
side
going
and dark
back
over
and
there.
forth. If we were running out of ice, I'd say, hey Joe, go get some ice for me, kind of place.
Wow.
That was the beginning of the building of a relationship with this community. These young guys that found this to be home.
Damn, my
As soon as they
ex-girlfriend sitting there with
started
somebody. I don't know who that is. I'm just kidding.
the TV up for them.
Wow, this is so
So they
cool.
wouldn't have to go see that game someplace else. We didn't have TVs in Bedford.
That guy needs a slightly
That
better
was for
afro
them.
wig, though.
And that brought in that segment of our community. And then, of course, this being the strong, close-knit community that it was, when you came here for a church.
You know, I just noticed the lady sitting next to me. I was so busy looking at her talking. What is this from behind the counter?
Particularly in the early 50s. When we would leave Washington, D.C. on the train, we could sit anywhere on the train until you got to the Virginia line. And when you get to the Virginia line, you had to go to the last train on the back. And I remember being so frustrated because we could not eat on the highway. If the train stopped, we couldn't eat.
Man,
we
it's
couldn't
cooler when they got that
relieve
video
ourselves
running
on
on
the
the
train.
ceiling,
You either had to
superimposed over that.
hold it or
It's really
relieve
crazy.
yourself sitting there, and then you're wet. When the train stopped, you would get off the train and you would relieve yourself outside, almost like you would if you were a dog. And that's the way, basically, I thought that white people felt about me as a black African American or Negro woman or whatever, nigger woman or whatever, that they felt like I was not human, not a human being, that I was less than a human being. I see people treat their dogs better now. Right now, they treat the dogs better than they treated us
Yeah, they got more rights
black
than we do, too.
Americans.
Tamir was such a energetic kid, you know. At 12 years old, he would actually get up in my arms as big as he was and let me hold him and kiss him and squeeze all on him.
So that day when you got the knock on the door, what happened?
So I was actually coming from the store and putting groceries up, and a knock came at the door. Two little boys told me that my son was shot by the police. And I was like in denial. I'm
And that's
like,
a
no,
powerful
you're not
shot with
talking about
everybody
my
looking at her
kids.
talking.
My kids is at the rec playing. And
Which
my
one?
oldest son was laying on the couch. He wasn't feeling well, but he ran out. And he ran out before me, and I'm still trying to get my coat and my shoes on, talking about my kids is playing. And surely enough, as I walk across the street around a little track where I could see the kids, my son is laying on the ground with 10 police officers surrounding him, and my daughter is screaming in the back of the police car, and they have my other son surrounded, and they put him in the back of the police car. So it was terrible. That's how that day turned out. The police asked me, they told me to calm down or they were gonna put me in the back of the police car. Because I was trying to get to my son. They never let me get to him. They also let me ride in the front seat as a passenger
Of the police car.
of the ambulance.
Of the ambulance.
So I never even got a chance to get back, close to my son, to hold his hand, to kiss him and let him know that it was going to be all right. I don't know what they were doing.
So he was in the back of the ambulance and you were in the front.
Yeah, I was in the front like a passenger.
What kind of service were they giving Tamir at the scene?
I don't know because they were surrounding him.
They were surrounding him. And the officers,
I couldn't really see.
what were the officers doing? They were just standing there?
Well, they were just blocking me, not letting me go towards him and telling me to calm down. And I'm telling them you need to let my kids out the car. They're minors and stuff like that.
Traveling while black, I'm driving down the highway and the police decide to stop me. Even though I'm an elderly black woman, I could be killed just because I'm black, and don't give them the answer that they want. Traveling while black in America is still happening. And I am really frightened for black men traveling while black. I wonder, when does it end?
Very, very good. Very, very good.
Welcome back.
Woo!
So if no one's ever put on a headset before, how would you describe what it's like being in virtual reality?
I wanted to borrow my fist though, because I ain't used to, I'm not used to being. But it was great. I mean, it's nice. It took me a while. Like, again, we're in a 2D kind of existence, and then realizing that there's stuff all around you. I had to be constantly reminded of that, because this is my first time actually viewing a headset before, where it's actually a 360-degree experience, and that just boggles your mind. And especially the videos you showed, the way they were utilizing the ceilings to project things on, it's a really wonderful experience.